Cover crop is going to be a crop that's planted after our commodity crop, after our row crop, our corn, our soybeans, our sorghum. And then we're going to plant that about this time of the year. Farmers are actually wrapping that up right now. And then we're going to go ahead, let that grow over the winter time, and then we'll terminate sometime in the early spring. So a part of that, what makes Talbot County unique and beautiful and why I love it here, is we have over 600 miles of tidal shoreline. So there's 5 miles here, right, Luke? While you're eating?
Yeah.
So we have 5 miles just here alone. We talked about how much it is to even just do like stone revetment, let alone living shorelines. So that's a huge problem in Talbot. Just trying to keep control of our shorelines. So cover crops play a big role in that. So who knows what a soil conservation district is? Who doesn't? There you go. See, this is a good group, so I don't have to go into it. So I can make my 35-minute speech down to about 5, right? We're all about done. So the big thing about a soil conservation district, it's a quasi-governmental organization. And all that means is that we're funded by the government, but we're managed privately. So any of these landowners out there, every district there's 24 districts in the state of Maryland. They're traditionally they wrap the same, they're the same area as their county boundary, with the exception of Frederick County, which is changing. So with those, if you have land either in Talbot, yeah, you would come see me in the Talbot Soil Conservation District, but there's a district in every one of these counties. And like I said, it's managed privately, so you have a board of supervisors. And I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but I figured if you already know a little bit about the districts, I want to kind of get you a little bit more about it. So those board of supervisors are farmers or landowners or stakeholders in that county, and they kind of guide the direction of that district. So this is a little plug. If you don't know who your board of supervisors is, or if you're interested in becoming a supervisor or an associate, you can come talk to me. I can help you out and guide you on that process. But it's a volunteer type position. But again, they're promoting, they're encouraging, they're promoting conservation locally. So that's part of the other services that I was going to talk about, right? So Dan's going to start talking about the funding, which, Luke, we have funds too. Not as much funds, but we have a little bit of funds at Soil Conservation. So that the district, the envelope that the district has, so there's county representatives, there's state representatives, and there's federal representatives. And so Dan's going to be kind of talking about those federal employees, those federal programs. We have statewide programs. So we have a lot of things. And the big thing I wanted to take away message from here today, which is why I was excited and eager when Luke called me and asked to come out and speak, was the districts play a huge role in conservation, right? They play a huge role. So no matter if we're working with Dan on the Natural Lands Project or working with DU, the district kind of needs to be involved. And there's one big reason why. So it's this Watershed Implementation Plan. So if you haven't heard of it, I'm telling you about it now. And it's been around since 2010, so we probably all have heard it, right? So the Department of Agriculture, the Maryland Department of Agriculture, is kind of in charge of the agricultural piece of that pie, all right, that's talking about our nitrogen and phosphorus and sediment reduction. If the district isn't involved in the project, we don't know and we don't capture it. So I'm just putting it out there that if you're working with somebody, which is fantastic, there's lots of organizations that we work with, just try to loop us in, talk to a conservation planner. We have planners and technicians at our office. It's a free service to all tax-paying citizens of Maryland, okay? So loop us in, talk to us about it. We can make sure we track that, and we can go ahead and put that towards our agricultural nitrogen and phosphorus and sediment reduction. Too much? Sorry about that. I didn't mean to get too heavy after lunch. But that was a big thing that we can talk about cover crops. And I just want to let you all know, so we've got soybeans out here. Everyone think they're a pretty good stand of soybeans? Pretty terrible, right? I just got off the phone with the farmer because I was like, what's going on down here? He told me he came out in July and he was spraying his beans, and he pushed up about 80 head of geese that were in the middle of the field, just took off. So that's geese damage. It's resident So we talked earlier about, I was the only one I think it clapped when someone said about shooting their resident geese. But that's what that is. That's not even deer damage, which we know it's a problem here. So there's got to be a balance, right? And that's what I couldn't get off the phone because he was telling me, oh, who are you talking to? And what can I tell them? I said, no, you don't need to be here. This is not probably where you should be. But we did talk about that balance, right? And his big thing was they need a plan, right? They need a plan to manage for this. This is not sustainable for the farmer. This is not helpful for the wildlife, right? We talked a lot about that's poor quality, it's not managed very well for the wildlife if that's the intent. And so I just wanted to get that was the mindset that I wanted to bring today, touch upon it briefly, that if you are a landowner and you want to encourage wildlife, talk to your farmer, because most farmers, they're going to want to work with you, right? They're going to want to help and say, this is what I've done over here, this might work here. So they're a great resource. Don't consider them, an obstacle. And that's all. That's all I have for the district. I know I did not touch at all about cover crops, and I apologize, but I suckered you into it. I just had do you have any, well, I'll leave it back to you.
No, thank you. Thank you. Any questions?